There is a certain kind of doublethink that surrounds Megumi's breakdown. The community, not all, seems to abhor Megumi's break and brand him a, quote, bum, whilst also upholding Yuji's as the pinnacle of innocence and the ultimate situation deserving of all sympathy. As a Yuji supremacist, I perfectly understand the desire to parade Yuji's break as the most tragic and sympathetic moment in the entire series. However, the fans don't seem to understand the obvious contradiction that arrives when you parade Yuji's break but denounce Megumi's. The only way any of us are going to convince someone else of the brilliance of Yuji's break, or any other character's break, is by accepting Megumi's as also justified. To argue otherwise is to deny the very foundation of the thing you are arguing, because the scenario is the same, only the causes differ. Yuji's moment arose because of the almost psychopathic altruism and selflessness that Yuji has in the Shibuya incident. As explored by Higurama, Yuji unjustly blames himself for the actions of others, treating the murders of Mahito as though he had killed them with his own hands. Only moments before witnessing a miniature genocide from Sukuna and acting as though he pulled the trigger himself, Yuji takes on the blame for others' actions and acts as a sort of voluntary scapegoat for the villains, only breaking this mentality in the late Culling Games arc. This is no different to Megumi. Both Yuji and Megumi take on the blame with others' actions, with Megumi believing he killed his sister, mentor, and friends, breaking the same way Yuji did. The contrast is that, while Todo helped, Yuji found purpose from his suffering. He overcomes this tragedy without removing it from his mind. In fact, it changes his entire worldview. Yuji breaks away from his altruistic, naive, and idealistic worldview and becomes more of a Jujutsu realist. Yuji begins to see himself for what he is, a soldier simply doing what his morality obligates him to do, exterminate curses. Yuji's new view as a, quote, Jujutsu realist sees him distancing himself from the concept of importance and instead imposing on himself the absolute, unchangeable title of simple cog as a type of coping mechanism. This is why Yuji begins to buckle in the Shinjuku raid, because that, air quotes, false cog mentality is built upon a foundation of absolute and utter contempt for Ryomen Sukuna. This is important because we've seen Yuji overcome his trauma by reconstructing it through a lens of a realist, a subtle replacing of it over time with utter bloodlust and internal anarchy, only kept in check by his commitment to those around him. Megumi has not had the same time to process, in fact, his trauma, and it's still going to this very chapter, 261 as of recording. When we criticize Megumi for things such as not standing on business or getting people killed because he's a insert degrading term, we are unknowingly criticizing Yuji as well. This is where the contradiction originates, and it's what we must recognize before we can start proposing proper reasoning for which of these break moments is/was better. Yuji is now in a position to control Megumi's fate. Either Yuji realizes the anarchy within himself and helps Megumi to understand and begin to believe in the idealist Jujutsu future that Yuji once had, or he fails, and in being unable to overcome his own internal anarchy, he dooms Megumi to a type of Jujutsu nihilism, which may lead us to theories like villain Megumi, or much worse, an empty broken boy that just wanted to save his friends. If Yuji is unable to overcome himself, he will doom Megumi to certain ideological and or physical death, and it's then that Sukuna truly wins, a terrifyingly possible outcome. As I read more into the dynamic of Yuji and Megumi, it becomes increasingly clear to me that the author Akutami's intentions for Megumi during the Shinjuku arc is to mirror Yuji's trials throughout the Shibuya and Culling Game arcs. Whether Megumi is able to overcome such adversity, or whether he succumbs to it, is entirely resting in Akutami's hands. My intention with this video is to just deliver my thoughts on the current state of affairs in the community, and this unreasonable double standard that we have. Look, I love Yuji as a character probably more than anyone who watches this video. I even have a displayed artwork on my wall because I'm just a complete fan. But even as blinded by Yuji Kaisen as I am, even I can see the blatant hypocrisy some of the fandom is parading around, and I hope that we can just acknowledge it so that the conversation can move to things much more productive, like which character is better written, or what the future entails for our heroes and potential future villains, if Akutami decides on that. If you enjoyed this video, I appreciate you. If you wish to see more content like this, you can subscribe, or you can head over to my Twitter where I'm much quicker to respond to topics like this. Thank you for watching, and peace be with you.